There's a silent panic that creeps in the moment someone thinks about leaving their job, not because they love the work, but because they're terrified of losing the identity that comes with it, the title, the status, the illusion of stability. So many people stay in miserable situations simply because they're terrified of the alternative, being jobless, being in between, and being undefined. Greta here, back with another video for those on a journey to escape the rat race. People don't admit this out loud, but a lot of the fear around quitting a job has nothing to do with money and everything to do with ego. A job title becomes a shield. It becomes a socially acceptable answer to the question, "So, what do you do?" It becomes a shortcut to validation. And over time, people start confusing the work they perform with the worth they have. That's why being laid off feels humiliating for so many people. That's why wanting to quit feels shameful. That's why even when the job is draining, even when the environment is toxic, even when the passion is gone, people cling to the title as if that's the only thing that makes them respectable. But the truth is simple. The moment your self-worth depends on a job, you've given your power away. Jobs can change. Titles can be taken away. Companies can restructure you out of existence with a single email. And yet, so many people build their entire identity on something so fragile. They walk around thinking, if I'm not this role, then who am I? And that question terrifies them enough to keep them stuck for decades. When you're trying to escape the 9-to-5 world, this attachment becomes one of the biggest psychological barriers to freedom. Because on one hand, you crave independence. You want to explore your passions. You want to build something of your own. But on the other hand, a part of you still wants to be impressive to other people. A part of you still wants to be admired for having a good job. A part of you still wants to avoid the uncomfortable moment when someone asks what you do, and you have to say something that doesn't fit neatly into a corporate box. That conflict creates paralysis. You want freedom, but you also want approval, and deep down, you know you can't have both. People underestimate how deeply the corporate world trains you to tie your self-esteem to performance, productivity, and perceived importance. From childhood, the message is consistent. Be useful, be valuable, and be high achieving. And the easiest way society measures that is through a job title. So when someone steps outside of that structure, it feels like stepping off of a cliff. No more automatic validation. No more guaranteed respect. No more label that signals, I am successful. But here's the truth no one wants to admit. No one actually cares as much as you think. People are too focused on their own insecurities, their own image, and their own lives to obsess over yours. The people who judge you for leaving a job you hate are often the ones too scared to leave their own. And the people who attach their identity to their work are usually doing it because they don't feel grounded anywhere else. When you stop trying to impress people, you start making choices that actually make sense for your life, not your ego. Leaving a job, switching paths, or pursuing entrepreneurship doesn't make you irresponsible. It makes you courageous. It means you're willing to prioritize peace over perception. It means you're choosing a path that feels aligned, even if it doesn't sound impressive at first glance. Because the reality of escaping the rat race is that there will be moments when you feel unimportant. There will be phases where the work that you do doesn't come with prestige. There will be quiet seasons that don't look glamorous on paper. And that's exactly why so many people never make it out. They can't handle the temporary ego death required to build long-term freedom. The funny thing is, when you detach your self-worth from your job, you actually become more confident. Your value starts coming from who you are, not what you do. You stop fearing layoffs, setbacks, career changes, and slow seasons because none of those things threaten your identity. You stop chasing titles because you realize titles don't define you. You stop needing validation because you're not performing your life for an audience anymore. And once that happens, your relationship with work becomes healthier. You make decisions based on what leads to fulfillment, not what looks impressive. You pursue creative paths without worrying about being judged. You take risks without obsessing over how others will interpret them. You explore passions that light you up, even if no one else understands them. This is the mindset shift that makes escaping the 9-to-5 world possible. People think the hardest part of leaving is financial. And yes, money matters. But the real challenge is mental. It's the internal battle between who you are and who you think you need to be to look successful. Ask yourself, if every job title was erased tomorrow, who would you be? Would you still feel confident? Would you still feel purposeful? Would you still feel worthy? And if the answer is no, that's your sign that your identity has become entangled with your occupation. And untangling it is the real work. Because the ultimate goal of life is not to be admired for your job. The goal is not to sacrifice your mental health for a salary. The goal is not to perform happiness so other people think you're thriving. The real goal is peace, fulfillment, freedom, autonomy, waking up with clarity instead of dread, building something that feels meaningful, crafting a lifestyle that reflects your values, not society's expectations. And none of that is possible if you're clinging to your job for self-worth. Detach your identity, detach your status, and detach your ego. Then watch how much easier it becomes to walk away from work that drains you. Watch how much clearer your decisions become, and watch how much more aligned your life feels. When you stop attaching your self-worth to your job, you take back ownership of your story. You choose yourself. And that is the first real step toward building a life that feels free. There's no need to choose between survival and a peace of mind. Remember, your job is temporary, but only if you want it to be. Until next time.